If you're holding anger in your body towards anyone, what does it look like on a spiritual level to hold it in your body, and how do you get rid of it? When I do past life regression with my clients and higher self hypnosis, part of what we do is something that I call psychic surgery. That's where we use spirit to get rid of or heal physical ailments as well as emotional and mental things. So talking about anger, I want to share a quick story with you from a recent session that I had. This particular client's parents instilled a lot of fear in her, and so her higher self told her she was holding onto a lot of anger and irritation. But when I did the intake session with this client, I asked her, do you have any anger or resentment towards your parents? And she said, oh no, absolutely, I don't. Her higher self told her, however, that's not true. Her parents caused my client to fear a lot of things in her life, but that's because they had fear and they were just trying to protect her and pass along that sense of protecting herself. But she resented them because the fear did not allow her to have any confidence to set out and explore the world around her. It caused her to just live in a lot of fear. Her higher self said she did not recognize this as being irritation or anger because anger is not something she wants to be associated with. So therefore, she did not even recognize that she was holding any anger or irritation. And I'm going to read to you from my notes this next question. I said, why is she holding on to this anger? And her higher self said, she said it was keeping her safe. She thought she could turn the anger into not anger or unanger, even though it was anger. She disguised it, and then the anger could not even get out to be dealt with. She couldn't even see it because she had disguised it. I then asked, is she ready to release this anger she feels towards her parents, or does she want to hold on to it for a little bit longer? And her higher self said, I think she's ready to let it go. So what's the tool her higher self gave her to release this anger? It was a little blue orb. And again, reading from my notes, it says, there's a little blue orb or a little blue box, and she just needs to put the anger in there, and then it can be taken away. So I said, can you describe for us what this process looks like as you do it? And her higher self said, she's packing it all in this blue orb like a suitcase, but it's an orb and she's trying to get all the irritation and anger in there. It's in different places in her body, so she has to get it all. It might take her a while. She can fill this orb up anytime she needs to. She can get that orb out. She can pull the anger from all the places that she has put it and put new anger in there too as it arises. It will never get full. There will always be space to put anger and irritation in, so she can just give it to us and we'll take it. I said, so this will be an ongoing process, is that right? And her higher self said, right. She doesn't have to try to turn it into something else anymore. She used to try to do that, but she wasn't really doing that. She was tucking it into different places in her body, like in her back and her neck. And so she can recognize it and she doesn't have to fold it up all nice and neat. She can crumple it up in a ball like a piece of trash and put it in this blue orb. She doesn't have to turn anger into anything else. Humans feel anger, and she learned for some reason, she learned a long time ago that anger was bad. But she can feel anger and then she doesn't have to tuck it away anymore or put it in different places. It's okay to feel anger, to feel that feeling. It doesn't mean that you're bad or not a good person or not a good friend. You can take the anger like a piece of paper and wad it up and throw it away and put it in the blue orb at any time. We can bring that blue orb out any time and we can take it away. We always have it here for her. She has plenty of space in the blue orb for later. Then I asked her higher self, is she holding any unforgiveness anywhere in her body towards herself or anyone else? And her higher self said, we will check. And then after a pause, it said, that may be the problem that she has in her neck, her upper back, and her leg. And my client told me about these issues before we went into the hypnosis session. Her higher self said, because of the anger, because that was there and she didn't know what to do with it, she did the same thing. She stored it away. She is never upset or angry at anyone and thinks she has forgiveness, but she doesn't really know how to forgive. She just stores it all up and keeps it because she feels like she can protect it. She thinks it's her job to protect other people. So I said, is she stuffing this unforgiveness in her body also? Her higher self said yes, but she didn't think she was. So here you got another blind spot. Her higher self said she thought she was just not feeling angry towards people and not holding grudges, but rather than feeling those feelings and putting them in the blue orb, she ignored them and she painted them a different color and said they were something else. She tried to make them happy. But you can't do that. You can't switch them. It doesn't work like that. You have to look at the feeling, how someone made you feel, and know what it is. A paper is a paper. A piece of paper cannot be a cardboard box. It's paper. So just look at it and say, this one's anger. Just identify your emotions. And after that, she doesn't have to try to turn it into something else. Wad it up, that piece of paper, and throw it in the blue orb. The blue orb, again, will never fill up. It's okay to feel angry at someone and to recognize its anger and to let that feeling be there. Humans have all the feelings. They have to. She doesn't like the feeling of anger and feeling angry at people or people being angry at her, but that's not possible. That's a human life. That's what we come here for. She has been trying to paint all these anger feelings pink with pink paint, but they are what they are. She has to know that, and she has to just be okay with things being the way they are sometimes. She can recognize these emotions, crumple them up, put them in the blue orb, and the blue orb closes. They don't have to come back out. Her higher self said later in the session that she didn't like anger because she didn't like the way it felt when someone was angry with her, and she just didn't know how to deal with it. So she just painted it a different color and said that it didn't exist in her life and that she would never hold something like that because she just didn't like it. So feel free to take and use that practice of the blue orb for any emotions that you want to get released from your body. Wad them up like a piece of paper and throw them in a blue orb that you create in your imagination and ask your spirit team to just take it away. Let them flow through your body. In other words, don't let them become trapped or stored in your body. Because when you hold low frequency emotions like anger or unforgiveness in your body, that's when they can start to cause sickness or disease. That's when they can become trapped, like with her, and start to cause pain and other issues. So whenever you're feeling a certain way, acknowledge it. See it for what it is. It's okay to feel it. Don't feel ashamed about having it. And let it flow through you, and then hand it off to your spirit team and the blue orb.